All right, we're back. We are COMP397, Web Game Programming in the fall 2018 semester at Centennial. And we're week 9, eventually, part 1 of our broadcast. We talked about player bullets last week, but it was only for the enemy. This time we'll do the player. Just to remind you, today we're sitting at week 9. That means assignment 2 is due this week. It's a simple 2D scrolling game for 12% of your final grade. And then next week, remember that your beta release of your game, your group game that you're working on is due with your peer review. Okay, last week or next week is the last opportunity for you to make a game with your levels and all that kind of stuff. From next week to the final week, you're just tweaking and doing play testing. No more features, please. Don't add additional features after next week. It's almost like a code freeze. What you're going to do from next week to the end of the semester is just fix. That's all you're going to do. You're going to fix stuff that's broken or not working properly, or tweak things. If you want to add some more sounds, if you want to add some more graphics, you want to replace your graphics with from placeholder to real, that's the time you do it. Your final release is due week 13. So even though next week is week 10, and then you have a couple of weeks, it says to do play testing week 11 and 12, right, for another 5%. Your final release is actually due week 13, not week 14. Week 14, you're going to be doing your final presentation to the class, which should take about 10 minutes. Now, there's only 3 groups, which means the last week we'll spend 30 minutes and we'll say, see you later. That's how fast it'll be, okay? So that's what really the plan is for the next little while. Okay, let's get into it. So we'll get into what we did last week. Remember last week we were talking about bullets, and I'm just going to bring up my desktop. And we were in week 8. I'm going to make a copy of week 8, and we're going to make a new one called week 9. Let's change this to week 9. And I'm going to bring up our trusty Visual Studio Code we've been using the whole time. And what I want to do is week 9 into Visual Studio Code. That's what I want to do here. There we go. One day. It's going to open, I swear. Maybe. And again, we have to make some minor changes. I want to change my HTML to say week 9 or lesson 9. That's where we're at today. I'm also going to change my package.json file so it says instead of lesson, what the heck? Lesson 4 should say lesson 9. I left that there somehow. Keep forgetting little things like that. I could also change my repository to lesson9.git, which is where it's going to go. And that's great. I'm going to press Control backtick, which is going to bring up my terminal window. And what I want to do here in my terminal window is I want to delete my my remote. So I'm going to say git remote remove origin, which removes my remote. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my new remote for my new repository online, which I'm going to create right now. So I'm going to go to GitHub. I'm going to go to Centennial. Inside my Centennial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new lesson, so a new repository. So it's going to be COMP397, lesson 9. Maybe fall 2018 would be good. Excellent. Last 2 lines of code here. I'm going to grab these things. I'm going to go back into my Visual Studio Code and right-click, and then press Enter, which is going to push everything to my new remote origin, which is in my new repository. And to test this, I'm going to go here and refresh, and you should see my code. Nice, nice. Okay? So I can keep my commits, but have a new target for my repository, as opposed to the old one. So the old one and the new one, same commits, different repositories. So you can actually go and look at different pieces of our development using different repositories. Now, in real life, I could have made different branches. So lesson 9 branch, lesson 10 branch, lesson 12 branch, whatever. Here I'm just using different repositories so that way you can see things a little bit easier. That's all it is. Not realistic, but it's easy. Okay, so I want to press Control Shift B to start the watch process, like we've done in the past. And then I also want to type in light-server, right, so that it runs my server in the browser window. There we are. So where last we left off, we had this situation. Mail pilot was going, and then I had a plane that I could collide with, right? Here's my plane. And I can't do anything, though. Like, I can't physically do something. I die if I go here, right? So I want to be able to shoot the plane down this time around in this video. Let's shoot the plane, the other plane. So we have a couple things to discuss. One thing is this. We have already a bullet, and we prepared ourselves last week by making the bullet so that it has a direction. Right now we have that, and we can check that if the bullet's in play or not. We have a much more complex bullet than I've done in the past. So we can reuse it. The bullets start off at -10,000, -10,000 off screen, and we have a bullet manager to manage each of the bullets. Right, here's our bullet manager. So when they're on the screen, it allows us to, control how many bullets are there, where they come from, how they update, what happens when they're off screen, and how to fire them. This is this fire bullet thing. All right, so I want to be able to call this fire bullet manager, but I want to be able to kind of change the direction of my bullet. Now, one thing we know is that we have a spawn point for a bullet in a direction. And the direction vector is anything we give it. In our vectors, we have a utility folder with vector2. We've created a new vector2 object. And in my vector2 object, I have a couple of methods, convenience methods, what we added in. One of them is the up and down directions, right? So we can actually, depending on the bullet type, by the way, I also put in left and right, just in case you want to fire the bullet to the right or left, and also 0 if I want to 0 something out. Okay, so some additional convenience methods that I made. All right, very similar to what we would see in Unity. Okay, so let's try this out. So I want to be able to fire a bullet, but I want to be able to do this by pressing the left mouse button. Left mouse button. So far, I haven't done input handling at all. And we need to think about how we were going to do this thing. I want to be able to do some input handling, right? Where when I click my left mouse button, something happens. Curious for you guys. Do you think that clicking the left mouse button is what I'm really doing when I'm pressing a game on the screen? Can I do that? Can I listen for left mouse button clicks? Or am I really listening for an event listener where my mouse is clicking on my screen somehow? That's the other thing you think about. If my mouse is off screen, should I be able to click my left mouse button and make the bullet fire? How do you want this thing to work? So do you want the canvas to be clicked? Do I have to click on the canvas? Or do I have to click on the HTML file itself? Something's got to be clicking. Let's look it up. So if we look up any kind of clicking event, not for games, but anything, right? So left click to fire bullet on, web game. So, okay. So JavaScript, HTML, canvas game, shoot bullet to mouse point. How does that work? And we have some effects and canvas on mouse down, and then la 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 la. Well, on mouse down, guys, and this is what I'm saying to you. There has to be something that my left mouse button is clicking on for it to work, right? On mouse down. How about if I want to click my right button? Can I click my right button so I can, listen to that event? So how does that work? So right mouse button event for JavaScript. I'm talking about this because, at the end of the day, here's mouse event button. Okay, events.button. Here's which one I pressed. I can have this event happen, right? Where I have my left mouse button event trigger. right? So I want to be able to, my mouse event buttons. So here's my event.buttons. Sure, it's an event of type, and it says that return value, the number of representing one or more mouse buttons that were pressed when the mouse event occurred. If more than one mouse button is pressed, the values are combined to produce a raw new number. For example, and this is different than actually clicking on something. This is a mouse event, right? So left mouse button, and that's what this is. Related pages is mouse events. So when I go back to my mouse events page, okay, and I'm showing you this because that's what I want. Here's the different mouse events on mouse down. The event occurs when the user presses a mouse over an element. On mouse over, on mouse up, right? I mean, on click, on context menu, on double click. These are the type of mouse events you can do. Okay, so curious. If these are the only types of mouse events I can do, right, can I click in space somewhere outside of like my window and expect my mouse to work? The answer is no. You have to do it somewhere. So what do you recommend? Should I click on my canvas and make my mouse button click and fire? Or should I click on my web page? What do you recommend? Right now, if you look at my web page, it looks like this. I'm going to be clicking, right? If I click over here, do you care? Do I want to click over here? Or do I want to only click on my canvas? What do you recommend? I want you to think about this from a user perspective. User's playing the game, and I click over here, and it doesn't fire.
It should still fire. Plus, we should probably center it.
This.
Yeah,
right.
The window is the canvas is.
Okay, we can do that.
I prefer the bar space.
But let's suppose I don't have space. Right now, I'm using my mouse button for everything. Later on, I'll add in the space button because then we're going to do keyboard controls.
In this case, you are managing. We're driving a pane.
Yeah.
So you need to be inside of the canvas.
Okay, so your vote is.
You can do it inside of the canvas.
Your vote is the canvas. All right. So really, what we're going to do is we're going to attach a mouse event, right, to the canvas. That's what we're doing. Right? When I click the canvas on event listener, on mouse click, right? I'm going to do something with the canvas. Mouse clicks, right? That's what's happening. I can also do it with the web page too. Let's address Pedro's problem though. Pedro said that he wanted us to center this whole thing. That's really a CSS thing at the end of the day, right? So we can do that pretty quickly, I think. If we go to content, there's a game.css file. We have this canvas, right? We could also add some wrappings or trappings on top of our canvas. One thing I'd like to do is put my canvas inside of a div tag, right? So maybe we're going to put it inside of a div tag. We'll give the div tag a name called, I don't know, game. And we'll take this canvas element and we'll wrap it inside the div tag. I think it's Alt. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so that's our game. It's just inside of a div tag now. And inside my game.css, what I want is the kind of this tag that has a name of game. What I want to do with it is I want to give the margin. I want to give the the margin, which is going to be the left-right margin or the kind of a zero auto margin, right? Which kind of will center the thing in the world. But we also have to give for it to happen some kind of space, right? What do you recommend, guys? Should I give this thing a width? Because it needs some kind of, in order for it to center, it needs a width. It needs something to center with.
We use Flexbox.
Good. Yeah. But let's just let's give it a width. We'll say the width of the thing is 640 pixels.
The same, is there any way that we can dynamically take the one that's already on the...
Yeah, we can change it with JavaScript. Right? We can do that too. But for now, let's just do this. If I did this, and it's in the middle, zero auto, that's your center, right? Now, it's not centered, it's just centered in the middle. right? If you want centered on the top, we could do that too, but I think this is good enough, right? Maybe what we also want to do is we want to give a border, like some kind of border effect to the background. So we can say that the body itself has some kind of background color, right? So we can say that, we'll look at the body, and the body will have a background color of, I don't know, gray, light gray. There we go. So it doesn't look totally bad. And there you go. Is that satisfactory, Pedro? Is that enough? All right. We could also give it so that the borders are rounded, like, border dash radius. We'll make it so it's, I don't know, 5 pixels. So it's kind of a little bit nicer. Maybe even 10 pixels. That looks a little nicer. So it looks like it's rounded border around this thing. Cuts it off. Looks nicer, right? And then it doesn't affect the game in any way. Just makes it look nice, right? We still get affected, but now it's in the middle of the game, the middle of the screen as opposed to the side. Again, these are cosmetics, but it's not bad. All right, so we've finished this part. He's happy. But now we need to add in this event handler. So, curious, should I add the event handler? I want to add it on the screen somehow, right? Javier was saying that, maybe the problem would be that if I should add it to my canvas. Pedro was saying that it should be anywhere on the screen. What do you guys recommend? What's the vote? Gabrielle, what do you think? Do you think it should be on the screen, on the index.html page? Wesley, what do you think? We have to kind of take a vote here. Or do you think it should just be in the canvas? Anywhere? Even on the screen?
The user will F11.
He's going to F11 for full screen. You think so he's going to do that?
I would.
So if I press F11, you're going to get one of these, right? And then what's going to happen is when you do that, you're going to get a bunch of space over here, for this. Here's something else you can do. What if I wanted to keep my 640 by 480, but I wanted to change the width of my canvas, right, to the width of my screen? Can I do that with CSS? What do you think? So going back to my CSS, just curious, since we're off topic. Anyway, what the hell? You made me go off topic now, Pedro. It's your fault, right? So now what if I said my width is 100%, right? And, that kind of thing. What the heck does it do to my canvas? Well, it does this, first of all. It doesn't do anything. Well, what if I said the width of my canvas? So let me go back. So my width is 100%.
Same thing on canvas.
Well, that becomes really weird, right? So if I say width is 100%, it kind of does one of these, right?
Okay, that's not too bad.
It's really big, though. I'm just saying, right? But but then we have to kind of make the height, right? What is my maximum height? How do we do that? It's got to be kind of proportional, yeah?
You could remove
height.
I could say that my maximum height is like the screen size, right?
So height 100%.
Well, no, because there is no height. So height 100% will give us nothing again. If I said height 100%, then what happens is we get this really weird. Yeah, sorry. We get this really weird thing where you have this effect, right? Because height is not defined, right? We defined inside of our index.html, we defined that the width is equal to device width. Height, we have no idea, right? Right? So if I define that, can I do height is equal to device height? Is that possible? Let's see, right? So if I say height, is equal to device dash height, and I do that, huh? What? Device height. Come on, you're just being picky now because of my spelling. Yes, but it's wrong. Okay, it doesn't even have a device height. No. Okay, there's no effect. You can't do that, right? So this doesn't work. And what you could do, though, is you could say there is screen space coordinates, right? Because what we're saying here is at the top, inside of our content, If you want to make it 100% height, for example, let's say you wanted to make it so that there's cards. Each screen is a card, right? That's a certain thing. There is viewport height, right? So I believe it's viewport height is what you want to say, right? And you can say 1 viewport height, 2 viewport height, or whatever. And I'm just going to make sure I haven't used it in a while. So I'm going to just check it out and see if it's right. So I'm going to say viewport height units, CSS. And I believe viewport height is a thing, VH, relative to 1% of the height of the viewport. Yeah. So 100 VH. 100 VH. And if I go back, that might be skewed. Look, it works, but look how it is.
So you have to remove the definition for width, right?
We need to make
And I could say that, yeah, but how? We don't know what the width is. We could say that it doesn't calculate. It can't read the width. I can't say like width is equal to this. But we can make it as big as we want, like 100 viewport height. If we want to be crazy about it, right? I could say that with the height calculations, we know that it's 640 by 480 game. I'm just saying, just like let's put the calculator up. We know that it's 640 by 480, so 640 divided by 480. You know that the width to height ratio is 1.3. So 480 pixels and 1.3 times is the width, right? 1.333. So if I take this and you can say that the multiply by the height or the width is less. It's actually it's more than the height, right? Then we really have to reduce the height by 1.33. That's the maximum if you want to get maximum width. I believe, yeah.
You can just use width like auto, and then it'll do keep the height width relative to the height.
So you're saying width auto?
Yeah.
Sure, let's do it. Width auto. That's the maximum space you're going to get, right? Now there's a bit of a problem. Look, we have a little bit of play here, right? Why is this? Where's
100? We can say 90%.
Oh, we need to have a display block.
Huh?
Do we have it? Ready?
No, that's in the game, right?
100%. We can use.
Oh, is it download?
A couple of things, right, guys? Look, on the body, we have our default browser styles that come into place. We have to set the default margin to 0, right? 0, 0. We have to do that. And once we've done that, what we're going to get is something like this, right? Now there's none of that. There's not as much play, right? But the thing is, even at the top, we still have a bit of a bar on the bottom, and there's a bit of bar on the top because it's bigger than what the screen can display because I have this. That's what it's really going to look like. There's a bit of play here. So it's a little bit bigger than the viewport height is including things like there's other problems that are happening here, right? So if I want to do that, what I can make it is instead of 100 viewport height, let's make it like you said, 99. Nope. 99 works. Now the thing is, look at this. When you scroll up and down, it kind of stops. But if I play the game now, you can see it's pretty big, and it's good. Now I want to go back to what we did before, right? Which is now let's center it. Because centering would be good, right? So how do I center that? Well, I know that the width is auto, right? So it says width is 100% of the screen. I have to put in the width is the viewport width, right? So 100 viewport width. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. What is it again? You guys are making me remember things. So viewport height and viewport width, 1% relative to the width of your viewport. But there's a problem with this. Viewport, the browser window size, the viewport is 50 centimeters wide. One viewport width is equal to 0.5 centimeters. But the problem with it is we don't have a viewport width set. We don't know what that viewport is because we never set the width viewport. So we can set it up as a number. Like we know that it's probably going to be 480 pixels minus something. It's going to be a little bit wider than 480 pixels. So we can set it up like that. What do you recommend? So we have to kind of give it a number, right? I mean, going back to what I said before is inside of my index.html, again, guys, really way off topic, but it's okay, right? Let's just say height is equal to device.height. I don't think that applies, but let's just see if that works. I don't believe so. Yeah, no. Let's look it up. Device height for index.html meta. Response meta tag. La, la, la. Viewport width is equal to device width, initial scale 1, and device height, physical height of the device's screen. All right, that should work. I tried. Height. It's the virtual viewport. Yeah, that should totally work, guys. Look, device height and device width. So that is the width and height of the device. I did it right. Width and height. Device height. I spelled it right too. Okay, so So I want to go into this 0 margin. If I went instead 960, then what would that look like? Margin auto, margin 0 auto. I could add a margin as well on the left, where my left margin is something like, so that's the, sorry, top, bottom, right, left. So instead of auto, no, no, that's the top. That's auto is the top and bottom, left and right. That's how it works, right? So if I had 4 values, it'd be top, right, bottom, left, right? So this would be instead of auto for the left and right, let's make it so that the left margin. So you don't need this one. Say margin left is equal to, like, let's say something like, I don't know, 100 times or 10 times the viewport width. Okay, so viewport width works, and let's do 20. It looks right, but it's a hack. Okay, just FYI. Maybe less, because it's like 20% is what I'm saying. That's the margin left. I could, you know, the viewport width actually works somehow. I wonder if I just to say, you know, width. Try this out. Width is equal to 40 times the viewport. 40 parts of the viewport width is what I'm really saying here. Nope. Yeah, so it doesn't allow me to do that. It doesn't allow me to do that. It doesn't take that. Oh, because we said width is auto. That's why. This is why this whole thing is not working. Let's just leave it at that. Let's say, I don't know, maybe not 18, but or 20, but 18. Maybe you probably did. Okay, so that's kind of a hack. We'll figure that out later on. But it kind of does what we want it to do. Now when we play the game, it looks like it's centered in full screen, as full screen as it can possibly get without breaking the whole game itself. What do you think, Pedro? Not bad?
Yeah.
He says it's acceptable. So I have to take it that it's acceptable. At least it's more playable. And it's a little bit stretched. The reality is you're going to get a little skewing because of the graphics and stuff that we're using, because they're going to be all expanded programmatically. The other bad thing is when you do something like this. So if I have a smaller viewport somehow, so let's say, I don't know, I drag the window and I change it. So now it's responsive. I do one of these. Sometimes what happens is you get this situation where it's like this and it doesn't look right. I mean, it looks pretty good. Our game is kind of responsive now. I mean, it kind of wouldn't work in a screen that's not squarish. Like if the screen was like 640 by 480 or something like that, like a mobile game, it wouldn't work. So you get something like this. Right? Actually, if I to reload it, I think that's the problem. If I was to reload it, it might. Nah, it's still not working. Yeah, because it's still. I mean, it's kind of responsive on one side, but not 100% responsive. You'd have to use it programmatically. Like you could do it programmatically, guys. You could say like the width and the height of the screen is equal to some kind of the width, and without using CSS, you could do it so that it's like, you know, slightly better. Anyways, in this case, it doesn't matter. I think I'd want to, even if I'm outside the screen, somehow I want the whole screen to take in my mouse clicks. So I think that's what I want to do. So question number 2 is, let's just leave the CSS stuff behind. Where do I put in my mouse click information? Do I put it in my level? Right? Do I create an input manager so it works anywhere? What would I do? What do you recommend, guys? What are your thoughts? Because you're the level creators. You're the game engine creators at this point, right? You guys should know this game engine good enough now. So what do you recommend? Gerardo, what do you think? Should I make a input manager, an input handler, or should I make it so that it's like somewhere else, like in each level?
That's fine.
You don't know?
No.
All right. How about Pedro? What do you think? Input manager, or should I make it so it's part of the level? And what are the advantages of both and disadvantages? And what about multiple choice? A, B, C? Well, I'm joking. No.
Well, input manager wise, you get a lot more control over stuff you want to happen before or after. But for a simple start, putting it in the level is fine.
Okay.
That's how I have it in mind right now.
The problem is if I make level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, got to replicate all that stuff, right? So again, anything that's going to be replicated across different levels, to me, needs some kind of structure so that I can move it along, right?
The other thing that you could do is you could add it to the scene.
I could do that. There's a lot of things I can do. I recommend, though, an input manager of some kind. And we're going to use it anyway because we're going to make an input manager for like keyboard input manager. I want to try and do that today as well. It wasn't kind of something I wanted to do in this video, but hey, what the heck, right?
You still have to do the on-click listener in the scene, right? The actually setting the on-click.
Let's see how it goes. So if I go to scripts and if I go to core, managers, I want to add something called a new file. We're going to call this the input manager. I'm calling it input because I don't want it to be keyboard or mouse. It's any input, okay? And this is a new version in my game, this game here. In previous versions, I had a keyboard manager or whatever. Not 100% necessary. So we're going to say it's the module managers. We're going to make a new class. So export a new class that we're going to call input, the input class. Now, in my input class, here's something curious. The input class itself is not going to be something I need to instantiate, though, yeah? Think about this now. I almost need a public static object that I can kind of access, if you will, right? I mean, I could make my, joystick left or whatever, do something. But really what I want to do here is whenever I have my input manager, when I left click, I want to receive clicks. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to receive clicks. So what is my input manager class going to do for me? That's the question. How do I structure it? Right? It's great for other things, but it's almost like I want all I want it to do is when I do something, it's going to do something else. It's going to be a set of Booleans is really what I really want to have, right? Like, for example, is my input available? What if I want to pause the game? Then my input would be off, right? I don't want to be able to have any input in the game. I don't want to be able to, I don't know, move my character around or whatever, right? So I could have a set of Booleans this way. I could also use the input manager for what happens when my left mouse button is clicked. Like when my left mouse button is clicked, that's where the event lives, right? That's where my event lives, as opposed to, it lives somewhere else. So if I said in my input manager class, I have a public static event that I want to call on, left mouse down. And I'm going to get, it's going to be of type mouse event. So create.js. So mouse event is going to be of type create.js.mouse event. Okay, that's what I want in my my thing to have, right? It's on left mouse down, right? And what I wanted to do is when the left mouse button is down, I want to set the flag, you know, some kind of flag that it's being fired, triggered, right? So I need a flag. I need some kind of public static flag, public static, you know, my fire button, my left button, right, which is of type Boolean, right? I'm going to set to false. And then what I'm going to do is on left mouse button down, I'm going to set the left button, right, to true. And it's going to be, now here's a question. Can I say this dot left button to true in this class? I can, right? There's something interesting. It's like I have an event. That's what it's going to be. The event is going to be written inside my input manager. On left mouse down, it's going to say my left button is true. Okay. And if my left button pressed is true, and actually maybe I'm going to say my left button down is true. So let me just rename this thing so it's right. Left button down is true, right? If my left button down is true, then I can test for it. Okay, that's one step. What about if my on left mouse button, mouse up, I want to release the mouse button, right? I also want to listen for that too. Public static on left mouse up, right? It's a mouse event, which is of type create.js.mouse events. And I want to say that this dot left button down is equal to false, right? So it's kind of true and false. I click the mouse button, that's what it's going to do. Okay. So just follow me here for a second. Okay, I want to talk about this little thing. So if I go to my index.html file, I want to add it in. It's going to be a manager that I want to basically available through my levels. So anything that is, you know, before my scene class and before this you know, my actually before my levels, these levels here, it's got to be here. It could be anywhere. I mean, but it should be somewhere where before my bullet, it should know about bullet. Collision should know about it. Hell, even my player should know about it. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to keep going. So it's kind of like somewhere over here. And I'm going to put this in script, source, scripts, and managers. And then it's going to be my input manager. There's my input manager. We get there. It's in my class. And then what I want to do is inside of my play scene, scenes play, I don't want to instantiate it. I want to add it an event. Now, I want to talk about this because this is kind of weird, right? I want to add an event, and it's going to be an event listener. So when my scene starts, I want to add an event that when I click on my window, right? Anywhere on my window, I want the event to trigger, okay? Or, curious, I mean, do I care if it's here? You got to be careful because if I click anywhere on my window and my left mouse button down is triggered, what about my start scene where I click my start button? That'll be triggering that too, right? Or wouldn't? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like in my start scene. So if I go back to this and I click this, if I'm here and I hover over this, there's a hover event, right? For my button. My button itself is causing the hover event to happen, right? If I click on my window here like this, right? If I click here, it starts the game, right? Yeah. But will it also try and trigger the fire button to work? Like that's the thing that we have to think about, right? So I only want it to be in my play scene. That's first, not anywhere. It only is going to happen here. And when I'm cleaning up my play scene, I need to remove the event. Okay? So when my play scene starts, that means in the constructor function of my play scene here, I want to create a set of an event listener, which means that in my start scene, in my start function, I want to do that. So my start function somewhere, let's say before it goes to main, right? I want to do that event listener. So I'm going to set up my input. In fact, let's make a this dot setup input function that I haven't defined yet. So here, I want to define that function, declare method. Here it is, setup input. And my setup input is going to be, for now, public. Maybe we'll make it private next time. And what I want to do here, it's going to return void. And what I really want to do here is I want to say something like this. I want to say that my canvas, right, which is actually my scene, this dot on, and then we're going to say the type of event is going to be, I want to click, right? And I want to call an event listener. And this is where we can use our global input handler, right? So I'm going to say that managers.input, and we're going to call the left button down event. Okay, that's the one I want to call. But curious, why doesn't this work? It says that argument of type Boolean is not assignable to parameter of type handle event object void. Why? Well, that's the left mouse button bound left mouse event. That's the wrong one. It's the on event, on left mouse down. Okay, on click. Now, is there a way, what kind of events do I have for mouse clicks? And if I go back to the little window that we had inside of my mouse events, I have the following. On mouse down, on mouse up. The event occurs when a user releases the mouse button over an element. So I want to also have that one too. So I want to say that instead of click, I want on mouse down. Mouse down. And I also want this dot on mouse up. I want to click managers dot input dot on mouse up. That one. So those are the two. Now I'm actually calling a why am I getting an error now? Expecting this. Why? Oh, I'm being silly. I don't need these things because this is the event. Sorry. The event is I'm going to trigger mouse up or mouse down. Get it? So my setup input, all I'm doing is I'm setting up a couple of event listeners on mouse downing or mouse upping, right? And then what I want to do is when I go to my destroy function, I want to remove that stuff. By the way, notice it says to do cleanup bullet manager. What we want to do is we're going to say that the same events. So I'm going to take these two things and I want to turn them off. So I only want them to be available to me. I want to get rid of them when I leave. Does that make sense? So that way, for whatever reason, I don't want the on mouse up or on mouse down to be available to me unless I'm inside of my my scene. Now, the reason why I can't bring these into Input Manager off as an example, I'd have to pass in a reference to the Input Manager's, the scene that I'm in to the Input Manager, and I don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So we've set a flag. That's what these things do. Whenever I click onto it, it sets a flag. And now when I set the flag in my play scene, I have that information. In fact, if I want to say that I want whenever I click the flag, it does something. Let's just put it inside my input manager for now. So we say that, you know, what the input manager is. So I'll say that console.info, and we'll say that, you know, this dot left mouse button down. And the same thing goes with when I click up on the mouse button. It should say like true, false, like that. By the way, it's all mouse buttons, not any mouse button. It's on mouse down. Okay, I haven't separated it yet. I will. Okay, so how do we test this thing? So here we are. I'm going to start. And I also want to look at, this is where the problem with this big screen is. It's going to cut my screen down a little bit. But I want to talk about it from a perspective where I press true. And on mouse down, I can see that I got mouse events that are going. Take a look. But where's my false? Right? My mouse event up. That's why I'm making it. My mouse event up, even on the right click. Look, it even works on the right click. When I right click, it's clicking that part too, right? But what about my on mouse up event, right? It doesn't seem to want to give me that false. I should be seeing false all the time. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. So we get here, but I set it to false, but this mouse event, mouse on left mouse up, is never triggered somehow. So let's go check inside my canvas or inside my play scene and see why that doesn't work. So it's a mouse up event, that I'm listening for. Here's my mouse up event, on mouse up, on left mouse up, right? So somehow it's not triggering, right? So again, let's do a cross check. Let's do a cross check of how the event would work. The event occurs when a user releases the mouse button over an element on mouse up, right? So, so it says the on mouse up event occurs when a user releases the button over an element. The order of events related to the mouse event for the right mouse button or for the left mouse button. On mouse down, on mouse up, on click, right? There's the on mouse up event. And it says it's good in all the different browsers. Here's your syntax, on mouse up, my script, object on mouse up. And then this is the one we want, object.add event listener, mouse up, my script. So why isn't it working? So let's do a little test. This dot on mouse up, instead of going to my input manager left, we're going to do a little inline function like this. We're going to say that the function is going to allow me to console log, say mouse up. See if that works there. All right, and started. And I'm not getting anything. Yay. I'm getting a bunch of mouse trues, right? But I'm never getting a mouse up. And that's a problem. Do we see that? Why that would be a problem? It's not even detecting mouse up. Okay, let's do it the old way. Let's undo these changes. And now, just to warn you what this is, on in Create.js language is actually a shortcut for on event listener. All right. So, or add event listener, sorry. So let's just comment this out for a second. And what we're going to do is we're going to say this dot add event listener. We'll do it the long way. And we'll add in mouse up event, right? And then we'll do an inline function that does the same thing. We'll say console log mouse up. Okay, so here's my event listener, mouse up. I'm pointing this out because nice ideas we have, but doesn't do it over here, right? It only does it here. And it's not working. So why is that? So again, we can look through it. And we can say that mouse up event not working, not in JavaScript. How come? And it says that someone said that they added event prevent defaults in the mouse down event, and now I'm getting mouse up notifications. That's something that is working. Maybe what's happening is it's jamming with the and they have as an example code. Does anyone have another suggestion why it's not working? You guys are a load of input today, right? I tell you. Yeah, so here's my handler. My handler function is mouse up, and mouse up is being called, right? My target, this is using jQuery. We don't want to use jQuery. We don't need jQuery, but that's jQuery, mouse up event reference. I believe we should probably put that in there. It's not working or it's on console. I think it has to do with what they said, which is I believe it has to do with the movement, mouse movement, like it said. But what do you think?
The thing that I read before was that the mouse up just doesn't seem to be supported most of the time.
That's the problem. The problem is the mouse up isn't supported a lot of the times, right? But I mean, we can probably make it trigger. The problem is that it's probably when we trigger it. I mean, the thing that's happening is that we're waiting for the mouse to let go, and we've detected the mouse down event. So the mouse down event is different than the click event. Click event is just like a click. The mouse down event is like we're holding the mouse down, right? Here's another thing that's not happening. I would have expected when I hold the mouse down, it's doing something. It's not. Look at this. So if I go back, let's just get rid of this for a second, right? And let's put this back for a second, okay? And I'm just going to point this out to you guys as well, right? So here's something that's happening. When I play the game and I go back to this and I start, and if I just hold the mouse down, how come my mouse isn't being triggered constantly? That's what I was hoping to do, right? When the mouse is down, that should trigger all the time, not just once. It's acting like it's being clicked, not mouse down. Mouse down is like key down. Key down works like whenever I hold it, I can keep doing that as long as I want, right? So let's do this. Let's get rid of the mouse down event for a second, because we want to try and detect what's happening here. Because what I want to be able to do is hold down my mouse button while firing, while triggering. So I want to take these away. So I'm not going to trigger these mouse up events at all. And then let's see what happens when I play. So play, and nothing's happening. My input manager is basically stopping my mouse event from happening, right? And let's die. So again, we're going to Google this one. So hold down mouse button JavaScript. Correct. So it says how to detect it, and it says there are a couple keys that needs to be considered for this to work. An element can only detect mouse events for itself when the mouse is over it. For a mouse up to work properly, it has to be monitored globally on window or document, and the button status tracked. All right. A status for type the long press must be tracked and respected for all stages. For example, if the long, oh, of course it is. Does that make sense? And he gives him some suggestions here. Here's an example of what he's done. So add an event listener on mouse down, and handle mouse down is down is true, is long is false, right? And then what it says is clear in any case. So is down seems to be a status that's part of the mouse down, because is down is not defined, no? Document.query selector all div is down. Is down. And it also says you may have to the status. Okay. That's interesting. So, okay, so that gives us a little bit of more hope that we can make this work. So instead of making it work on an element, we make it work globally. So what we could do is we could say something like, instead of this dot on, we could say that globally it's going to be on, which means for the page. So window dot on mouse down, right? So again, it says it doesn't exist in type window. We could use add event listener. And then if we did that, it says that argument of type mouse events is not assignable to event listener. Types of mouse event and event are incompatible. All right, so that means that in my input manager, let's get rid of this for now. And this, just for now, right? And let's see if that works. If I go back to my play, yeah, that got rid of that. Okay, cool. So let's try that out, see if that works. But one thing at a time. Cool, play, and no.
Yeah.
Same effect. However, it also works here now. So on the window. So you can place anywhere on the window and it'll work. Okay, so that is mouse down. But now, one thing we did note was that he talked about something in his little post here about status with this idea of long press, right? Is long, right? So he handles mouse button down. The target is this. Is long is false. So store this as a target element, and he basically has. That's interesting. It's an interesting way of doing things. I'm just trying to consider how this is done. So mouse status, handle mouse up. And then what's happening is, okay, so what he's doing is, and if it's down, then what he's doing is down is fault, target.inner.html normal up, target is equal to null. He's using this kind of code, but what is that really doing? Sorry, it's just trying to unlock his intent here. Let's go back to this mouse event stuff. All right, so mouse event, type mouse events, and mouse event is, okay, alt key returns whether the alt key is pressed. The button returns which mouse button was pressed and triggered. Meta key, offset, page, shift key, and which. Returns which mouse button was pressed when the mouse was triggered. I know that, but I want to do a long press, basically is what I'm doing here. Okay. Returns whether a meta key was pressed on modifier state. Get modifier state. Returns true if the specified key is activated. Returns which mouse button was triggered. Returns which mouse buttons were pressed when the mouse button event was triggered. Okay, so mouse event is the type of event. Mouse event is a type event. Okay, so let's talk about that. So then that means that in my input event, in my on left mouse button, it's of type. So if I say event is of type mouse event, that's compatible. I can say that I want a console log. Instead of this, I want a console log event dot button. Just want to see which one is pressed. Let's see if that works. Okay, so we're almost there, guys. So 0, 2, 1. So, okay, that's interesting. So 0 is left mouse button, 1 is middle mouse button, and right mouse button is 1. All right, so that's interesting. So I'm going to say that only if event dot button is equal to 0, then the left button down is true. So this prevents that from happening on left mouse button down. Okay, and that's good. Okay, cool. So that takes care of the left mouse button problem. So it's only left mouse button. The right mouse button doesn't do anything, right? And I can say that only then console.log left mouse pressed, left button pressed, left button pressed. Okay, and that'll take care of that part. So start and then this. But if I press the right button, the middle button, nothing happens. Only the left button. That's what this does. So if event button. But I want a long press. So I want to detect long presses. How do I do that? So back and don't care about CSS units anymore. So on mouse events, so Alt key buttons. Turns the horizontal coordinate of the mouse pointer, and Control key and movement X returns the horizontal coordinate of the mouse movement. Offset page X returns the horizontal coordinate of the mouse pointer relative to the document. Related target returns the element related to the element that triggered the mouse event. Screen X and screen Y, and Shift X and which mouse event was triggered. Inherited properties, UI event, and event object. And these are the ones, event types. These are event types of the mouse event object. On click, on context menu, on double click, on mouse down, on mouse enter, on mouse up. I want to be able to do this, but it doesn't really show me how to do it other than it's of type mouse event. Okay, how about long press? JavaScript, left mouse button, long press. Okay, how to swing between left and right mouse button. I know how to do that. Mouse down events, mouse event basics. Events order, mouse down, mouse up, and click. Events are handled in the same sequence. On mouse up finishes before on click runs. Okay, if not the click context menu, event at which the left button, the middle button, and the right button. Okay, that's different than buttons. Shift key, meta key, Mac usually command, not control. Coordinates, no selection on mouse down. And guys, I don't see that there's a way of doing it. Unless you guys know something I don't. Hmm?
I've been looking for a while.
I'm trying. I'm trying to make it so it's interesting with the left mouse. They use which instead of button. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, I guess. But at least that way, we can't track mouse up. Can't track mouse up, eh? Click event reference. Well, okay. So, I mean, I guess this is okay. We're making sure that only left mouse button works. We probably don't need this because we can't do it, right? And you know what? Setting a trigger for when this happens, this is okay. But the problem is, when does it not happen anymore? When does this left button down Boolean turn false? That's a challenge. Like, when does this trigger? So fine, we pressed it. Yay. But, and then? How often does it go up again? Like, it's almost like immediately it goes here, it does something, and then it does something else, right? It's almost like we don't even need a Boolean. We just need to be able to fire the button, fire the bullet. So we're going to go back to Bullet Manager and fire the Bullet Manager somehow when this thing is pressed, right? And then that takes away the need for the whole input manager in the way we're using it right now. So going back, we have to adapt. This isn't working. window.add event listener mouse down could be window.add event listener click. But what we want to do is create an event. I mean, I guess there's no other way of doing this, where we call the manager's game, the bullet manager, in order to fire. Because bullet manager has the fire event, right? That's what it does. So remember that what we did before was with the bullet manager. So if we go managers.bullet, here's the bullet manager. It has this fire bullet event, which tells me where I'm firing the bullet. Okay. Yeah, I don't see that there's another easier way right now. We're going to have to come back. I'm going to have to circle back to this one. So I knew there was a way of doing it before. But I should be able to do this dot on mouse down. And on mouse down or on click, it doesn't really matter anymore. But I'm not sure how the window input manager is going to help me instead of complicate my life right now. So I'm going to have to remove it. However, I am going to turn it off. That we need to do. And I'm going to make it so that for now, it's going to be an event that happens separately here, just for now. Similar to what you said, Pedro, in the first place. On mouse, on left mouse down, left mouse button down, left mouse down. Take this mouse event, and it was going to say of type create.js, create.js dot mouse events. We're going to say that this dot on left mouse down. I'm going to say event if event dot I'll see, but it won't allow me to do the buttons. No, it has to be mouse event, not create.js mouse event. Yeah. Because the only thing you can do with the mouse events are these, right? Composed, alt key, from element, detail, layer X, layer Y, none, and these things here, right? So if button is equal to 0, then we can do something. We can say that managers.game.bulletmanager.fire, fire bullet, and we're going to pass in my player object. So this underscore player dot position. And then we're going to pass in a direction vector of up, util.vector2 to dot up will be the position vector. Why is that a problem now? So it needs a vector 2 and a vector 2. Y is up. That is spelled right, probably. Dot up. Yep. Okay. So that should fire, and it be the player position, let's say minus player position, and we're going to subtract on the x-axis something like, okay, so we'll say spawn point, so bar bullet spawn, we'll say is equal to a new util dot vector2 object, which is going to be the util dot subtract util dot vector2 dot subtract. I'm going to or add two vectors, right? the player position, and then a new vector. Yeah. So this underscore player dot position and a new vector, which is util dot vector to object. That's going to be the x is 0, but y is -5. Why is the problem? Only a void function can be called with a new keyword. What? What the hell? Oh. Yay! All right. So bullet spawn then is of type util.vector2. All right, then I can pass bullet spawn into here. And it'll be in the up direction. And hopefully that will work. On left mouse button down. Okay, and it'll work every time I click the button. Let's see if it works, man.
Yay.
I'm dying. I'm dying over here. I'm not even getting an error. All right. Only if event button is equal to left mouse button. Let's just do something like this. We'll say console.log. Left button pressed. So I got to check all this stuff out before we move on. Then we'll do it. Sorry for this long thing. But that's not working. Okay, so why? This on left mouse button down, on left mouse button down, and it's not even coming here. So event, mouse event is equal to left mouse button. It's equal to 0. Event.button. Maybe it's event.which. Okay, that's interesting because, you know, in my input manager, I did the exact same thing. If left event.button is equal to 0, then do something. And somehow or another, when I come into my play scene and do the exact same thing, so here's on left mouse button down, on left mouse down, event mouse event, on left mouse down, if event button is equal to 0. Okay, let's try. How about we just see if it even gets there at all? So console log. We'll say button pressed.
I think the event itself is like undefined.
It's right here.
No, I mean like when I try and like output the button, it says those values are undefined.
Yeah. Let's see. Hold on a second. I mean, it was working before, dude. So that's something that makes me crazy when that kind of stuff happens. Okay, start. Oh, it works. It works now. So the button is working. Look, I'm getting the event trigger happening. Okay. And let's just do the event. Let's pump out the event itself. Event. I want to see the entire event. Let's start and let's output that event. What am I getting here? Event phase is 3. That's interesting. I'm getting more information. Event phase is 3. Current target is play. Right? Cancelable is false. And we also have some, you know, raw X and raw removed is false. Stage X. Target is ocean. That's interesting. Type is mouse down. That's the event that I'm listening for. And one of the problems I'm having is exactly what you just said, which is, okay, so look, cancelable is false. Native event is a type mouse event. Button is 0. Buttons are 1. So look, it says that. Native event. Event.native event right? Dot button is what's happening. Detail event phase is 0 and that kind of stuff. Okay, that's interesting. I think it's because I'm using the word event. Not joking. So event dot native event? No. Dot which is equal to 1, isn't that how it works? It's not liking that at all. Okay, let's do that again. So console log. Oh, this thing a lot longer than I thought. Event. Sorry. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Let's try event dot button. Undefined. You're right. The event dot button seems to be undefined altogether. What if I didn't define this as a mouse event at all? What if I just said event? And then start that off again. See what I'm getting. Undefined. So it's like it's this on thing. Let's see if I go add event listener instead. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what the problem is. Because remember, we're using on, which is somebody else's event, not my event. That doesn't seem to be a big difference at all. But yet we were getting it before. Can you explain that one? Like, look, inside my input manager, right? This totally worked. Totally worked. This is like 100% working in my input manager. Right? So explain that one, Wesley. Can you? I can't either. Yeah, that's messed up. I'm probably doing something that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So mouse event. Let's go back to mouse events. So you know if it's a type mouse event, which is give me an event. But when I look at the event itself, it gives me a back. Right? So when I go back to this, I don't get the event objects. What I'm getting back actually is this. It's an event of type mouse down, right? And it says current target. Okay, so what about if I put event dot current target? That works. So if I just did this, then I get this, the play. Play is the current target of what I'm looking at. And it gives me what I'm looking at. So if I keep clicking this, I'm going to get a bunch of play targets. Okay, good. So now if I go back to event, we're going to figure this out. And if I go to, so current target and then native event is what I want. It says that it's possible. So native, it doesn't show it. Native event and then dot button. And if I take away mouse event altogether, so let's do one of these, just so I know it's an any of type any. 0, that works. Okay. So we have to kind of, yeah, I have to, JavaScript or TypeScript doesn't know about this. It doesn't know about everything, but this will be of type any. So whenever we say type any for JavaScript, it means that, hey, JavaScript, here's the finger. That's what we're saying to JavaScript. We're saying JavaScript, we don't care, or TypeScript, we don't care what type it is. We're just going to assume that it's something, right? However, we know that when we do this, it works. This is the type of stuff. It's native event. So event dot native event and then dot button is equal to 0. That's what it is. If that's true, then this is happening. Okay, good. That's a good thing. Look, that's really good. That's an error, but okay. Player this dot player dot position, and the reason why this isn't happening is now let's go back to on. I'll tell you why. Because we're not doing event binding. See that? I'm actually hurting myself. Right? Okay, so what happened? Why wasn't it working before? I think it has something to do with the fact that what I'm clicking on, this is my thoughts. What I'm clicking on is not the window object, right? It's actually on another object that's all together, right? And I'm using a mouse down event to click on another object, right? That's number one. Two, my spawn point is incorrect. I have to give it more than 5, that's for sure. Maybe I have to give it like, remember minus is in the up position. So it's almost like I got to give it, and I said a new utility vector, like a vector of this, but really, I mean, I could have given it the up vector, but it's probably going to even be bigger than that, like maybe minus 10 or maybe half the width, because it's starting in the middle of my plane, right? So, you know, the player, this dot underscore player dot half height, right, which is the top, you know, again, minus this, minus half height, right? Minus half height, you know, as an example, plus some value, like plus 5. Okay, that'll be probably better. Show you how this works. Okay, that works even worse. That's like way down there. Half height. So player position, a new vector to 0x on the x coordinate system. And it's like it needs to be like, I don't know, player half height. Half height is like a certain number, like 35. And then it's minus. So I'm kind of subtracting it. And I don't want to do this. I don't want to add it. I want to just go one of these. Because I'm subtracting height. Subtracting height. And I'm adding it instead. Let's try that. Yeah, that's it. A little bit off from a center perspective, eh? But now at least it's not getting much. So whenever I click the button, it fires, no problem. And I think this is pretty good. Pedro, what do you think in terms of firing? It doesn't work when it comes to holding the button down, but at least it works.
But if we wanted that, we'd have it set to always fire and to stop on a key. Usually
yeah, we could do that too. Yeah.
At least as far as shoot 'em up is not good.
I guess.
When it's mouse, you want to.
All right. I'm a little concerned with the centering, but I think I know why it is. The plane itself, even though it's centered here, like over the middle, it also has another problem where we have the center, even though it looks like it's the center of the object, including its shadows, right? Because the center of the object is not just the thing; it also has a shadow, and it takes that into account as well, right? So we can adjust it. We can kind of move this onto the left by like minus, I don't know, 5.
Might be too short.
And plus 5 is probably too high. Maybe it probably be like plus 2. Let's see if that works. Maybe that's 2. Maybe it's going to fire against it. No, that's even worse. All right, so let's just do 5. That looks better.
Yay.
Hey?
Just a little bit off. Close.
All right, 6. Gee, you're so difficult.
Oh god.
Is that better? Come on, is that right? Huh?
Yay.
No, it's not the bullet that's the problem. The bullet's going to be firing exactly where I tell it to go. The offset is because the plane isn't.
Yay.
Is the bullet's registration point set at the middle?
Yay.
Yeah, the bullet is a game object. Remember? Yeah. So, okay, so that it works. Now we have a problem. Okay, so now the next problem we have to overcome is now that we've got bullet firing working in this thing here. Let me explain how this all works, just so you guys get it. So again, I have to use the native event button to detect the left button only. I don't care about the right button, just in case the right button is pressed. I don't want that to happen. Or the middle button. It's only the left button that's going to fire, right? And then I create a bullet spawn location. I mean, I could put this as part of the player position. That's one thing I didn't do. My player doesn't have a bullet spawn, so I can make that. So one thing I could do to optimize, I know I shouldn't optimize too much, and we're kind of run way over time compared to what we should be doing right now. But if I go to objects.player, the player itself could have a bullet spawn position, right? And the bullet spawn position is going to be something like whatever the current position of the player is minus 5, it looks like, or minus 2, if that makes sense, right? Minus half height minus 2. So let's do that. So we'll say we'll have a public property. All right, so we're going to say here's a public property. So first of all, we're going to create, to do this properly, we're going to say that new underscore bullet spawn for the player is going to be a number. Actually, it's going to be a util.vector2 object, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to create a vector called bullet spawn, which is going to return a util.vector2 object. And what it's going to return is this underscore bullet spawn. We're also going to be able to set the bullet spawn object somehow if we wanted to set it up. In the future, we're going to say that util.to, actually it's not going to return anything, it's going to set something. So we're going to take a new spawn point, which is going to be of type util.vector2. And we're going to say that this underscore bullet spawn is equal to the new spawn point. Okay. So that sets up our public properties and our private instance variable. And then inside the start method, we're going to say that this underscore bullet spawn, bullet spawn is equal to a new util.vector2 object, which is going to be made up of the x coordinate is going to be this .x, and the y component initially is going to be, oh yeah, this is going to be interesting. This .y, so negative this .y, and then minus this .half height, and then minus an additional 2. So that's going to be the initial bullet spawn. However, it needs to update. When we update our position, we also have to update our bullet spawn, because every frame, the bullet spawn object is going to have to be changed. I don't want to make a new object every frame, but we have to think about this. We have to update the bullet spawn object to be whatever it's going to be. Does that make sense? I mean, I could just change the x and y coordinates at that point. I could say that this bullet spawn x and y is equal to whatever. But I'm just going to type in this whole thing again. I don't have to do this. It's probably not optimal, but it's okay. In fact, maybe we don't need it here. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to my play. And now that we have a bullet spawn, we can say that, let's just comment this out. I know this works. I can say that the bullet spawn is the player.bullet spawn. So we'll say that this underscore player.bullet spawn. And that's what I want it to look like. So I want to take the bullet spawn location and then choose vector up. Let's see if that works. Yeah, now we have to adjust it. We have to adjust it. We have to give it Pedro's adjustment, which is like 6 to the left, right? So going back to player, it's this dot x minus 6. And I'm just going to try not using this one at all. See what happens. Okay, that works. So I'm going to just remove this part. So I don't want to put any extra code that I don't need. So that what it does is it creates this new vector every frame forever wherever my bullet spawn is. My bullet position is going to change according to my player. That's what's happening. Okay, so that does that. Here's my play, and it does this, which means I can get rid of all this. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have this information going back to my input manager here? How could I make it work? Well, one thing I need to do, and I could use, remember I talked about not passing stuff around? I'd want to 100%. First of all, let's take a look at my input. Yeah, that could work. I'd want to not have it in here at all on left mouse button down. I'd want to use it so that the input manager itself is the thing that I'm connecting to here. So I don't have this stuff in here at all. This is not good, right? Because I want to be able to use this code every scene, right? And that's what I want to kind of do. So I want to take this exact code, right? Event.native event button is equal to 0, this kind of stuff, right? And I want to put it back into my input manager here, where event is equal to mouse event. So now we know that it works. I just want to take this if statement. I want to cut it out, and I'm going to put it up here in my input manager and paste it in. Now, notice that there's a couple of problems. One is the player. We don't know what the player is, and we have no idea what a native event is again. Okay, so let's go back to play. We know that it's going to be managers.input. That's what I did this by the way. Managers.input left button down. Okay, we want this. And we definitely want to delete it when it's off. I think we already had that. We never took that away on left mouse button down. So we did this. But now we need a reference to the game, the player in the global space. So if I say, because there's only going to be ever one player, it makes sense that we would do this in the managers inside of game manager. We can say that public static, player is equal to a type of objects dot player, right? So we've created a global space for it. And then what I can say is on play, when I instantiate my player somewhere, here's my player object. I have to instantiate my player somewhere, which is going to happen somewhere. Where is it? Start, count, engine sound, bullet manager, and set input. Where do I do that? Where is my player getting instantiated? Here, way down here. So this is bad. I can't do it down here, but I could separate it. So this is one thing I haven't done yet, guys. In my scene, it's kind of I'm doing both the adding to child and new. I'm creating my new object here and adding it to the scene, right? And I'm doing the same thing for my for everything except for my bullet manager and my clouds. My clouds and my bullet manager aren't being added here. They're being added in main. But this stuff, the ocean and everything else is being added here. And I recommend that we put them where they're supposed to be inside of my start method. So my start method creates my clouds and creates everything else. And my recommendation is we put all those other things up there too. So I'm just going to go down here to my main and get all the stuff that I'm missing up to here. And then I'll fix it in a second. So I'm going to kind of go to here in my main and go down to here. So I'm just going to realigning some of this stuff. I'm just not going to add them to the scene here. I'm just going to make them. I'm separating instantiation from adding everything to my scene, and there's a good reason for this. Gives us a little bit more control. So instead of add a player to the scene, we're just going to create the player object, create everything. These are where it gets created, and then we can remove them here. So we're kind of separating the creation from the addition. Okay. All I'm doing differently. We're adding everything here in my main scene, but we're instantiating stuff up here in my start. This is where probably they should be, because this is all in start is really where everything is initialized in the first place. That's what the idea is. So whenever I add my player, this is a good place to basically say that managers.game.player is equal to this._player. Once I've done this, I've got a reference to the player object, and then in this convoluted code, when I go back to my input manager, which is here, I'm not referencing this player bullet spawn, but actually, because it's a player, it's going to be managers.game.player.bullet spawn, which is what's going to happen there. And instead of native button, we're going to say, let's see if this works this time, because it worked before, button, which should work. If not, I'll fix it. Left mouse button. We don't have anything here for this mouse button down. We can get rid of it. And I think that optimizes our code as much as it can be optimized at this point. All right, let's try it out. Okay, so same problem as we had before. It has to be in my input manager. This has to be native button. Let's get rid of this, because this seems to TypeScript doesn't exactly know everything about buttons. So let's see. Yeah, that works. Yay. All right, so the input manager now is being used, whereas before it wasn't. Yay. All right, so this is a great place to put stuff on GitHub. I made an input manager and modified my player. So I'll say added input manager is what I did. And push. And that should have everything up there. So I have one input, one on left mouse button down thing that really keeps track of when I fire my bullet. Managers.game bullet manager fire bullet happens. So it knows about bullet manager somehow. We're good to go. Let's try this out and make sure it works again. So we're good. Yay. Faster I fire, the faster it comes out. Yay. Okay, so that's good. Now, lastly, I have to make sure that the collision manager is updated. Yay. So if we go back up to the, I don't know how I'm not dying. Yay. This thing is like living somehow. All right, the collision manager does this. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're saying, okay, check between player and island, check between player and cloud, check between player and enemy, check between player and bullet. Okay, check between player and bullet. How about this? What about bullet checking with player, or bullet checking with the enemy? When bullet checks with enemy, then what we want to do is we want to do something totally different. And this is if object.toName, is being checked. But this is for everything. And we want to almost say, like, if we want to check on object.one. All right, so this is all true still. Object.2 is colliding is equal to true. We want to check that out too. But object.1 is what we really want to check, right? So it's almost like, object.2 is enemy, but only if object.1 is bullet, then we do something different. So we'll say that if not object1.name is equal to bullet. And do this, which is going to happen often. So if object1.name is not equal to bullet, then do the regular thing. But how about when it is? When it is, we want an else statement to say that, you know, or we can say it the other way around. We can say that actually that's what we should do. We say if is it equal to bullet? No, which is probably not going to be, which is most of the time. It's going to then do this else. But however, this one case when it's equal to bullet, we're going to say that it's going to be almost like an explosion sound that's going to happen. We want to make the explosion sound. So let explosion sound be an explosion sound. We don't want to take away lives, right? We don't want to take away lives. Oh, this is a problem. This is a real problem. Because the explosion sound is going to be used more than one time, and yet we don't know what explosion sound is because we put it inside these brackets. So this is where I can probably say let in here for explosion sound. This is okay. All right, so let explosion sound be this. Explosion sound volume is equal to this. And now we want my scoreboard to go up in terms of points, right? Because we're going to gain points. We're going to gain 100 points or whatever it is for us killing the player or the enemy, right? So the enemy is going to make an explosion sound when it hits, and we're going to get some points, okay? If that makes sense. And when it hits and we make an explosion sound and it goes away, we also want to kill the enemy somehow, right? So the enemy itself is object 2, right? So we'll say we want to kill it somehow. So object 2 dot alpha. We'll make it go away because we're going to reset it in a second. Object 2 dot alpha is equal to 0. That's going to make the thing look like it's popping away. But if we do this, it's almost like I want to reset it. I want to call reset on it. And can I? I think I can. That might be the better thing to do. Reset it. And now right now it's going to pop away. Eventually we're going to make an explosion. All right. So, okay, so this is going to make it pop away. So if it's a bullet and it hits, da-da-da. Now here's the thing. I need to check in my play scene for every bullet that's on the scene as well. So bullet can hit a player can hit a bullet, but bullet can also hit other things. So in my update function, so this now we're back in my play scene for a second, okay? So in my update function, I check for player in island, player in cloud, player in enemy, player in bullet. But I also want to check bullet and enemy. So managers.collision.check, and then bullet for object 1 and this dot underscore enemy for object 2. So I can also hit the enemy, right? If that makes sense. All right, see if that works. Yeah, it worked nicely, and I got 100 points. Yeah, I killed that too, right? So I got that 100 points.
Yay.
I don't know what happened there. It's just killing itself.
Yay.
What happened?
Yay.
Okay. It killed itself. I'm getting 100 points. Hold on, let's see this out. I got 700 points. Why is that happening?
The bullet is out of the screen.
Yay.
Oh, I like the points. Getting like some really cool points for no reason.
Yay.
But why is it happening?
Yay.
And I got 100 points there. Just a second. Hold on a second. I got 800 points. I got 300 points. I got a bunch of points all at once. Well, anyone have an idea?
Yay. Yay. Yay.
He's hitting his
Yay.
own bullets, but I'm not sure why.
Oh, I understand why. It's something we never thought about. Look at my score. 300 at a time, right?
Yay. Yay.
How could it be hitting its own bullets? If the bullets are resetting when they leave the screen, right? Then I should never be able to hit my own bullets, right? It should never hit its own bullets when it's hitting the screen. Look, 900. I'm just going to try and live, okay? 1,000. 1,400. I got 400 points for that. 600. 900. So 300 points.
Yay.
That's like 3 bullets.
100
Yay.
per bullet.
300 points, right? So it's almost like the bullets aren't leaving the screen fast enough. Yeah, but how?
Yay. Yay.
Got 800 points there.
Yay. Yay.
Okay, I keep getting 300 points for every time the plane leaves the scene.
Yay.
Why is that?
Yay.
Anyone an idea?
Yay.
7,700.
Yay.
Okay, so here's my theory.
Shooting itself?
Can't. It's shooting ahead of itself, right? So then it leaves the scene, and when it leaves the scene, it resets. That's what happens. So it leaves the scene, and bullets leave the scene, and it resets, right? Because that maybe it's a bug that's always existed in our code, right? In the code base. Because if you think about it, the enemy, it's funny stuff we tell, we think one thing and actually something totally different is happening. So in my objects, my enemy object, here's my enemy. If you think about what's happening here, it moves the check bounds. It says that if this dot y plus this dot height, right? If that's true, then reset. So it's waiting to get down to the bottom before it resets. This dot height, 480, is great. This y, the y axis, which is at the bottom, plus the whole height, right? If that y is greater than that, it's going to reset then. Okay. Now, what about bullets? Bullets, maybe they reset differently. So bullets happen like this.
That's not right.
Thank you. The bullets happen like this. Let's say this again, right? The x and y coordinate goes to negative 10,000, but the check bounds is something different. Check bounds is this: if this dot y is greater than 480, or this dot y is less than 0, so it's off the screen, this is in play is false.
But we never send it to the.
Well, no, hold on, we check. If this is in play, move and check bounds. Okay?
But when it's out of bounds,
What happens?
we need to move it.
Yeah, when does it get reset? That's what I'm trying to say. If not, here it is. If not, this is in play, this reset. Okay, if this resets it, no problem. When else does it get reset? Like, where's the other call? Like the bullets. I'm saying this is a bug that's been existing in our scene the whole time,
Oh,
right?
we send the enemy and the bullets to the same place.
I think, no. The enemy doesn't go to the same place. The bullets, what's happening to the bullets is they're leaving the screen, right? So this is the check bounds function. If it leaves or it's outside the screen, then is in play is false, right? If is in play is false, we check to have this, right? The direction is in play.
Resetting.
Sorry?
It's looping the reset.
No. Give me a sec. The bullet manager itself is the thing that's controlling the resetting, right? So if I go to manager.bullet, right, it says that we create bullets, we update each of the bullets individually, and then if it's in play is true when I fire the bullet, and then we increase the bullet index. That's all this thing does. Okay, so that doesn't do it. But the actual bullet itself never resets itself to 10,000. It just stops moving. Only when it's in play does it move, right? When it's outside of bounds, it doesn't move anymore, right? But what we want it to do is reset, except this is never called. So what's happening is at the bottom of our screen, there's a bunch of bullets, right? They just sit there. They're outside of the screen space, sitting outside of the screen, right?
Wait.
It doesn't move.
The setter for is in play.
Yeah. This is in play. Is in play. Set is in play, right? When you first set is in play, it resets the bullet for the first time, right? But this is in play is never called again. We never reset is in play to false or something like that.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Check
Hold on. Let's go this. Check bounds. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is in play is false. Okay, so this is in play and false. And then we check. If not, this is in play. This in play is false. Reset. We call the reset function, which takes these things out to the middle of nowhere, right? And then sets the direction to 0. So there's no direction. It's directionless bullets at that point. Okay? This is what we want to happen. But my thoughts are somehow this is not triggering properly.
Console log. Immediately figure out if it's happening or not.
Well, we could do that, but what I want to say is I want to, every time it's called to reset, I'm going to do I want to call this thing, actually, let's call it here. I want to call this thing, so what's in here, anytime we call is in play, I want to see where this is going. Okay, it's going to be a couple of times. I'm so sorry for this, guys. But we need to do this debugging because this is the problem. Okay, so going back to the debugging, we will run this thing. Start the game. And now let's go back. So when we go back, it says that this bullet bounds a 0, and I want to see the X and Y coordinates are negative 10,000. 0, 0, my friends. Right? Okay, let's skip forward. And let's skip here one more time. Now it's negative 10,000. So now they've been reset to negative 10,000 for the first time. Okay, so again, let's stop debugging for a second. Let's stop debugging. Take this away from here, and I want to call when this in check bounds, when this in play is false. I want to check to see when this happens. All right, so I'm going to call it here. All right, and let's run it again. Debug. Okay. So it's check bounds because it's left the screen. It's negative. It's Y is less than 0, right? And then what's going to happen is I want to skip forward. This in play is equal to false, right? And this bullet is negative 10,000, negative 10,000. So it went. It went because otherwise it wouldn't have. If we were wrong, then this totally would have been false, and we wouldn't have worked. So this actually does work. You're right. So any thoughts? Because that's just not working. That's not something that we're experiencing something different than what it's supposed to be. Because what's happening is the enemy seems to be colliding with each of the bullets when it leaves the screen somehow. Can we guess? Do you have any kind of idea? What do you think? Wesley? What are your guesses? I got to ask you, man.
Well, I did it, so I just passed the game object to bullet and set is in play to false, like right on collision. So I'm not having this issue.
No, I like it. I like that. What I've done right now is I've said that if I go to my collision manager, So right now what happens is this. If my object name is bullet, only then I make an explosion sound and I reset the object 2. Object 2 is reset, right? If the object name is bullet. Okay, so when I object 2 reset, that resets off screen somewhere, right? Like not a bad place, actually. Object 2 resets to its own specific spot. Okay, so that's if and only if my bullet hits the enemy. So if the case enemy and my object 1 is bullet, so bullet and enemy, then I do this. Right, make a sound, give myself some points, and respawn myself way out to nowhere. Take my object 2, which is my enemy, and set him out to his reset point, which is off screen somewhere. Okay, that's what this does. Okay, what you're saying is you make the bullet is in play. When it hits something, is in play is false.
Yeah.
And okay, I mean sure. Because then what you're doing is you're resetting it immediately. So case bullet. So then we should do it here too. So if the bullet and the thing happens, we should do it here. So we'll say that. And you're casting object 2 as a bullet.
Yeah.
So object.
Otherwise, it won't let you call like it.
Object 2. And when you do a cast, you're basically, when you do a cast, how are you doing it? You're doing cast like object 2?
Angle bracket.
Are you using as, the keyword as at all?
No.
So you're saying,
Yeah.
you're saying you're casting it as, you bullet, so which is a object dot bullet, right? Objects bullet, right? And you're saying that I love how it does this. Because it's trying to see it's HTML. Object.bullet object 2, right? That's what you're saying. Dot is colliding. No.
You have to wrap the whole thing in like a bracket.
Including the cast.
Yeah.
What? Tell me the syntax, please.
Open parentheses, then curly brackets,
around the whole, like, and then put in there the object stop bullet.
Same thing that we have to do when we're using.
Okay, I see. You say object 2 dot name, object 2 itself, object 2.
Yeah, and then you do dot on the bracket.
Yeah, okay, is in play. I understand. Okay, so you're saying is in play. If that's true, you're casting object 2 as a bullet. If is in play, you don't want to do that. You want to say it's not if is in play. Object 2 is in play is equal to something else. What do you want to say?
Just that is equal to false.
Dot is in play is equal to false.
Then I'll reset it.
That should reset it right there. Right? All right, so if we did this, and then if we did that up here, I should do it.
It's with object 1.
Oh yeah.
No, because object 2, oh yeah, object 1. Yeah, because object 2 is a bullet, but we should probably do that before we reset. Actually, it doesn't really matter. All right, let's see if that works.
Yay.
Still doing the same thing.
Only incremented score once now, so it's an improvement.
Yay.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, I just want to understand what the heck is happening. Like that is like there's definitely an error there. Look,
Yay.
and it pops out of existence.
Yay.
Watch. That's 400 from 300. That's 1100. That's 400 bonus right there.
Yay.
See?
Yay.
2000. Yeah. I don't understand either. I'll be honest with you. I don't get
You
it.
actually don't know the answer to this one?
That's never happened before. I'm doing something new, right? This is the good thing about coding live, right? You make mistakes and you learn, right? Yeah. So, that's interesting. So, yeah, this is where it's happening here, right? Where object1.name is equal to bullet, okay? And I make an explosion sound.
Oh,
And
the other thing I'm doing that might, like if the bullet like is in, like it checks if the bullet is in play before it checks collisions with the bullet. That might be why mine isn't doing that.
okay, we can do that too. That's just, but it wouldn't be in play. You can't check collisions unless it's in play. Well, I know why. Because we can set is colliding. Remember the colliding thing? Yeah. So the only time it's happening is if it's colliding or not, right? So the bullet can only collide once, but we can also check if the bullet's in play. The bullet's in play thing, the reason why it's there is to check to see that it's visible or not and if it's reset. But it should be resetting. It should be resetting. We're talking about way up here somewhere, right? And so we can check to see if this is true. We can say that only if the bullet's in play, only object blah, 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 right?
But just even like if it's colliding and then just set the colliding to false.
Well, no, but if it's in play, this is better. This is what you said was right? Which is, hey, is it in play? If it's in play, then do this. And then you shouldn't need to do this. Because if it's in play, then it's going to reset by itself, yeah? So we should just move this part in here and not worry about this part, which we never had to worry about before. So we think.
Yay.
But, hey, that did it, buddy. Now let's see if I can actually kill the thing with my bullets, or if that's failing now.
Yay.
I don't think my bullets. I just have to get to the plane.
Yay.
So much stuff going on where.
Yeah,
Clouds are
yeah, I
a little bit-
took out one of the clouds because it was kind of
And now it doesn't work. Now it's like, okay, it's interesting. It's like my bullets now
Yay.
are not in play anymore. Look. Oh wait, that was weird.
Yay.
Or maybe my bullets tunneled because they're going so fast.
Yay.
So reduce the overall speed of bullets.
No, that went right through. Look, see that?
It was like right over top.
Okay, let's do a test. Let's go back to gameplay. Actually, honestly, guys, even though we're not getting a lot done today, I love this kind of stuff. This is like learnings, like for me, right? And it should be learnings for you too, because we're doing something different. We're doing something brand new, right? Let's reduce the cloud number to 0 for now, right? Just as a test. So that'll reduce my clutter. So I want to see what's going on here. Okay, so that worked.
Yay.
That didn't work.
Yay.
That worked. That worked too. I took a hit for it, but it's really hard to get them, without getting hit too. No, I'm serious.
Aren't they supposed to increase your score?
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Aren't they?
Well, if I actually hit him, how about that? It's like it's not liking to hit him anymore. See that? See that? It's not hitting him. Like I'm getting killed before I hit him. I get killed.
Well, it
Reduce
probably
the fire
doesn't
rate on
help that he just like gets like 3 bullets in you before, just while you sit in front of him. So
It's like he has to be. I have to be right in front of him before I hit him. Like, and look at that.
yeah.
And I didn't even collide with him there. Hold on a second. Can I collide with him?
Should we? Do we have it set up first?
Yay. Yay.
It's suddenly become very inconsistent.
No, that works. But the bullets. Let's see if the bullet firing works me. Yeah, I get hit like twice. The bullet firing on me works
Yay.
every time. Bullet firing on him only works when occasionally. See that? So whenever I get hit, no problem. I get hit and I die, right? But it works on him.
Turn off their bullets and then try to kill them. See if it remains consistent.
Sure. That's no problem. We just have to go and turn off his bullets. Going to go to the enemy.
Yay.
I don't even know how he's making. We're making any friends right now with this because he's getting like all kinds of friendly things.
Yay.
We will say that.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah, call. Just because we need to know if
Yeah, man.
what causes the.
So he's not going to fire any bullets anymore. Okay, so that kind of worked. Yeah, that worked.
Try letting one through and then try to kill them.
Yay.
It's just he's working. He's moving so fast too.
Yay.
See that?
Almost like if you're fine.
No, that was right, almost dead on, right?
I mean, like,
That was dead on.
Yeah, no,
Get
that,
the
he was in the
spike,
way. It's
like even if it's like
Yay.
near the wings, it should still be colliding because it's like the actual like collision, not just like the.
Look at that.
But it was as soon as you missed one.
Yeah. And let's take away that check. Let me take away that check again. So the check when it comes to Collision Manager, we had the only thing we changed in this whole thing to make this work was we checked to see if the bullet was even live, basically. We're just all we're saying is, hey, hey dude, you know, if you're live,
So
then
that's
do this.
actually-
Yeah, yeah. Because look, we're saying that if we're live, then do it, right? If the object one name is bullet, do it. Here. Whereas before, when I did it, one bullet.
Now try letting one through and then because so far the thing that's been consistent is that it's only started
Whoa.
failing after you've missed.
Whoa,
the
did you hear that?
It just killed itself. Yeah, it's dying off screen again.
Yay.
I'm telling you guys, that negative 10,000 stuff is not working. It's the thing that's causing the problem.
Yeah, I think.
I'm telling you,
the
that's it.
reset, the off-screen bullets.
Those off-screen bullets don't reset, man. They need another reset, another special reset when they're
I
off
think
screen.
you might actually want to bite the bullet and just have non-pulled bullets.
No. That's really bad.
Yay.
What's happening is our bullet going off screen is not going off screen.
Yay.
I'm telling you, that's what's happening. See? Every time I hit him, it's perfect now. Right? And the bullet should, when a bullet hits him, it shouldn't continue either. It should stop. So,
Yay.
here, let's just reset the game. So, because I can't stand the noise. All right, so this is not good. All right, what we did there was no good. Okay, that didn't work. But what we want actually is when the bullet gets hit, or where it's if it's hitting something or another, like if the bullet hits me, case the bullet or whatever, we want to definitely reset the bullet somewhere normal. So we're going to say that if, remember that in this case where it's enemy, then we want to object one reset as well. So we're going to say that
If
object
it's not, like, resetting the-
one
isn't
dot
played
reset.
properly or
Yeah.
something, nice.
So when it hits the enemy, it resets the enemy and resets the bullet. Okay, and when it hits me, when the bullet hits me, it resets the bullet, which is object 2. right? So that definitely gets reset. Okay, I don't get reset, but the bullet gets reset because I don't have a reset yet. All right, now, when it's off screen, right? When it's off screen and when it leaves the screen, if we should check to see if it's out of play, it should reset itself. So we're going to make an extra check. This is the thing that you're going to not like. But I'm sorry, but it's a hack. But I'm basically going to say this. If, you know what, it leaves the screen somehow, not only is it not in play, but it's also reset. I'm going to do a hard reset on it every single time, an extra reset. So I'm going to go into the bullets. And that extra line of code is going to, not bullet manager, the bullet objects.bullet. I'm going to kill this thing. And what I'm going to say is if check bounds fails, right? If this is true, if it's outside of the screen, is in play is false, and this dot reset. That's what I'm going to say immediately, right? And that should do what I want it to do. That's gone. No more bullet. Right? And let's see if I can just kill it. I killed it. I'm going to send a bunch of bullets all over the screen so it can't. So if it doesn't reset, then it's going to hit something of them. All right, let me try now. Yeah, see, it's still not doing it. Look, do you hear that? Because I sent a bunch of bullets off screen in different directions, right? That reset, my friends, is not working. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I can sit here forever, and it's going to keep resetting in the space where that bullet is, right? You see that? Look, and my score is going to continue to increase for nothing.
Why? Sorry. Why is important the position in the collision?
Well,
we are asking about if it's active.
Well, here's the thing that's bugging me. All right, this I'm just going to show you. So this dot x is equal to negative 10,000, and this dot y is equal to negative 10,000, right? How is it colliding with bullets, right? When this dot x and this dot y for the bullets are negative 10,000, negative 10,000. I reset the bullets every time they're off screen. They're being reset. How is it possible? That's what I want to know. How is it? We have no visual to see the bullets, right? In Unity, you can actually track the bullets. You can look at the bullets and say, there's the bullet right here. What the heck? Why isn't it moving, right? But here, we have no way of knowing where the actual bullet is.
I mean, you could output like X and Y.
Okay, well, we're going to see like a whole pile of, like there's 100 bullets. So let's cut it down to 10 bullets. Let's cut it down to like 2 bullets, right? And I want to know where those bullets are, right? I mean, that's the way to do it. So again, going back.
And we can put one X and Y reset in a part that we can see.
This part, you mean?
Yes, temporarily for the booking, we can put in a visual in a part that we can see the bullet.
On screen.
On screen, yes.
If it does reset, then we can see.
Oh, sure. Let's put it at 0, 0.
Exactly.
We'll see the bullet.
It's temporary.
Sure, man. Yeah, let's do it. I'm good, right? Problem with 0, 0 is it's on screen.
Yes.
No, I'm saying it's greater than, well, less than 0. If less than 0, let's put it at, but then the check is going to make it go and play. If it's in play, it's going to move. That's okay. Let's see what happens. So it'll have no direction though, because when it gets reset, it's going to be have direction 0.
It should just stay there and no.
Yeah, let's see.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but those are all the bullets are there. 100 of them. Watch. This is what I did before. I set all these bullets up, right? And let's put so many bullets around that there's more than it's possible, right? To to reset. You know why I did that? It's because it hit a bunch of bullets all at once. Look at the score.
What's happening? An enemy pass in the.
No, what's happening is here. I'm gonna put a bunch more bullets over here.
Yay.
All right.
Like it's hitting the reset, all the reset bullets at once.
Yeah.
No, the
It's
enemy-
probably hitting over here. It's probably hitting here, right? Here. Okay. So now I passed somehow through there. Okay. I'm gonna kill all these ones here. Let's just.
Can you return to the check bounce, please?
Sure.
Only reset.
No. In check bounce, we have the G. Instead to minus 0, you can put minus 10. To see the no, not that. In the line 46. Minus 10. To see inside of the screen the bullet.
Oh, so you're saying what if this dot y is
It's okay, but
Less than 0. Instead, it's less than 10.
oh
Minus 10.
no, positive 10. Of course, it's incorrect, but we are going to see
less
the
than
bullet
10.
inside.
Less than 10.
Less than 10.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
And also the other one would be
470.
Yes, 470. Yes. In that case,
Sure.
we're going to see the bullet in the border.
No problem. But where it stops, you mean?
Exactly.
Like it. I like your thinking.
Oh,
Okay, so we have our bullets in the corner.
no, so that means that he's not staying that. He goes to the corner.
So where is he colliding? Okay, so here I'll put all these bullets here like this, right? What is he colliding with?
We need to report. We need to console out like if it's actually hitting something.
What is it hitting? Right?
Yeah, we can console the.
So let's go to the collision manager, and something is hitting the well. The only thing that's hitting the enemy could be the bullet. Look,
That's
guys.
the only thing that plays the sound, right?
yeah.
Wait, no, it always plays the sound.
Okay, we'll make it so it is. It's the explosion sound, right? We'll make it so it is a. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Sure, we'll do a console log. Console log. You know, I don't know, we'll say enemy hit by bullet.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay.
So now if we hit it, if we hear explosions but we don't see that, it means that it's colliding against something else. But that's weird.
Well, yeah. So I'm not casting any bullets out there. And now I'm going to cast bullets.
Yay.
Enemy hit by bullet. Enemy hit by bullet. If it comes in this part of the screen, it's going to be hit by a barrage of bullets.
It's hitting the off-screen bullets.
I know I can fix this, but it'll be a total hack. What off-screen bullets, man?
Yay.
But they're
The bullets are right here in the
they're all
corner. This is what I don't understand. All right. So
What the heck?
yeah, that's what I'm asking. What the heck?
It's like not resetting position right away or something.
That
Look.
was like
A bunch of bullets at once.
15 of them.
Look, here's more.
14 of them. What the? Wait.
Okay, I know. I got it.
Yay.
I'm going to reset these things. I'm going to reset the bullets. I'm telling you, there's a bug in our code that's been around for a long time. A long time. We're going to say X is 200 and Y is 200.
So they're safely outside of their visual range.
And don't
No.
forget
You dropped down.
the limit, the 10 and the.
Oh, no, but it's going to be reset. So if this is outside of the range, it's going to go back down here, right?
Drop the number of by
The number of bullets?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. But I'm just concerned that when we keep on doing this kind of stuff, we're missing something that's vital, that's like critical. Right? That's what I'm saying. Okay, there's my bullets. So all my bullets are right here now. The only way it's going to collide is if the plane comes exactly on my bullets, right? There's one bullet. I got one bullet that's outside the screen. It collided with it.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay. We could also there. Okay, there's a couple more bullets out there, right?
Yay. Yay.
That's just me.
Yay.
So if I collide with anything here, right? Look, here's the bullets right here. There's a bunch of bullets right here.
What are we leaving behind?
How is it possible, is what I'm asking. How is it possible they're not resetting to here?
Yay.
But they would be.
Okay, wait.
Yay.
Let's even do further. Let's go further than what you said. Let's say the only place this can fire bullets, okay, we're going to show check bounce so that way if it's the Y is greater than 430, something really small, okay, and this Y is less than 50, 60, let's say. That's when it's going to reset. So we're going to see it like reset really, really quickly, okay? Nothing can ever leave the screen, okay, this way. Look,
Yay.
it's never leaving the screen. Okay, never really leaving the screen,
Yay.
and it's going back down here.
Yay.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
If you don't fire,
it's never left the screen. They've never left the screen, dude. Look,
This makes no sense. But why? Okay, no. But there's got to be some sort of like proper reason why this is happening. Are we leaving colliders behind? No, there's no collider object.
maybe the collider is
what collider?
incorrect.
The what?
The collider.
It's impossible. That's
Because
the distance.
They base themselves on the existence of the objects
It's
themselves.
distance. That's never. I've never seen this glitch before.
We know that the objects aren't there. So is this something that like getting cached or something?
What? What caching, man? There's nothing to
I
cache.
don't know. This is Create
No,
JS.
but
It's
you can
bad.
see the enemy appear and after
Yeah, they're never
collider.
They're right there. But
Okay.
Collider with an invisible wall.
I need you to tell us, Tom. Do you have any clue what's happening here at all?
I mean,
because I don't, and I'm
we
kind of scared.
Can
at this
we
point.
review again
There's ghost in
the
here.
formula of the
the collider, the way the collision works,
yes?
is it checks the distance between two positions. I've done this a million times, right? The total height is object one height, half object two height. It says if the distance is less than the total height, that's all it takes. Then we know that object two is colliding, is true. We can also set object one to is colliding is true as well. Because object one is colliding.
They would both be colliding. So
The problem with that is if object one is colliding, it means the plane can only collide with one thing at once. That's why we can't do that, right? Then we say that, okay, we switch. If it's the island that it's colliding to, that's what the object that is the collider. That's the collidable, whatever you want to call it. Then play the yay sound, give me 100 points. If it's the cloud, then play the thunder sound and give me, subtract a life. If it's the enemy, then play the explosion sound and, subtract the, sorry. If it's the enemy and if it's not the bullet, then play an explosion sound and subtract the life, right? If it's the bullet that I'm colliding with, play an explosion sound and subtract the life, and then reset the bullet. Reset the bullet to whatever that position is.
Oh,
Why? This is if the bullet hits me. If the bullet hits me, do this and reset the bullet, right? At no place ever do we say that the bullet is going to be, the alpha of the bullet is going to be 0, right? We never say that. However, did we say the collider? We say that we're checking the position. the position of the bullets. Did we ever update the position of the bullets?
Or the position
That's
of
the
the
problem.
bullets.
You remember
That's the
position?
problem.
The
Ah.
position is not
This is why we shouldn't have used positions at all or switched entirely to positions, but we keep using this.x and this.y instead of making everything part of the properties.
The
So we
position
need
is
to
not
either
the
retire x and y or retire positions.
Can't retire X and Y because
Well, retire
X and Y.
into the properties.
Yeah, it's causing us a constant error. It's something that's causing us a constant problem. So let's fix it in the bullet. So we're saying is that on update, this is the problem, guys. On update, we never update the position. We never do. The position is set once, right?
Underscore update position.
Yeah, but the thing is the position itself. Okay, so we
It's not
say
getting a move.
no, move is the new position, and X and Y, right? So every time it's set, the update position is done. We do this here. Position is, we add this position, whatever it was, right, to the velocity. That's how it moves. That's the new position. Okay. And then the X and Y values change according to the new position, whatever the new position is. This is all good. This is all good, right? Okay, what happens is on reset, we never change the position to do anything.
So add update position.
So we're saying, yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to check update position on reset, X and Y, and then
Right after, yeah.
right after X and Y changes, we have to update the position. This dot update position. I'm telling you, it's something stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it would work that way. Because then it's going to be here. Because it's not checking the actual X and Y coordinates. It's checking some virtual position that we've created, right? All right, now we shouldn't have a problem. Theoretically.
Whoa.
Oh, it hit this.
because he's hitting one.
How many bullets did we put in the pool?
100.
Oh, okay. Then I'm more curious about.
No, it works. Now it works. Because look, I have all these here, and I have all these here. So if there was a problem, then this thing should be hitting those. We're good. We're good, guys. That was it.
Yeah, we fixed it. That was okay.
It was a bug. It was a bug, man. That's the way bugs work.
No, let's permanently remove position from everything.
No, that is an update that I'm not going to do right now. That's going to take too long. Let's go back and fix this problem now. Now we know the problem. Let's go back and fix bullet. Bullet can't be 430 and this. It's got to be greater than 480. And by the way, greater than 480 if it leaves the screen plus and less than 0, right? We said that? Yeah, less than 0.
Where's the registration point on
In the middle. We should probably add a little bit more too, just to make since we're here, right? 480 plus half height. This dot half height, and if less than 0, minus half height.
Just minus half.
Yeah, less than minus half height. Minus dot half height. I'm telling you, this is the crap. This is the stuff that we have to go through, my friends, because we established this crazy stuff. But the good thing is, I'm still happy with what it is. I don't think it's a bad thing that we're doing. I think that what's happened is we had a bug that was always present that we've never known about unless we did this. That's reality, right? At some point in the game, longer down the road, if we kept going, that bullets would never hit anything. And that's why they weren't hitting anything. That's why they were passing through the plane. Sorry, the enemy, because the positions were way over here that we were checking, but the X and Y coordinates were here. All right, that's what was happening. This is good. Like I said, I'm happy with this kind of stuff because it makes me feel like we're good. We've done some of the stuff, and part of what we're doing, guys, that makes me really, really happy about this thing is, although it's taken a long time, and it all comes down to the challenges of game development. to me, right? The challenges of game development come exactly with what we're doing. You know, part of it is fun, another one is killing bugs, and it's a silly bug that we've had in our game for probably weeks, right? Or a couple weeks now, since last week, that we didn't know, right? All right, let's see. Oh, wait, we also have to make the enemy fire bullets. So that's all the stuff we did to make this thing go. A lot of stuff. It's a lot of work, right? So now let's see if it actually works the way it should.
Yay.
Still collide. It's hard to get it though. I'll tell you that the obstructions of the clouds are like really hard to play. It's like a hard game right now. It's like this would be level 3 equivalent, right?
Yeah, the clouds on their own are pretty tough, and then it's just like
They're kind of
trying to kill it.
You cannot kill the clouds.
No, well, that doesn't make sense, right? So
Yay.
It would be nice.
it would be, but it doesn't
Maybe
make
just
sense.
Stick with one
Yeah.
cloud.
and increase the alpha on it and make it smaller.
Yay.
Okay, I mean, I could.
Yeah,
that-
I guess
that
the
actually
clouds
makes
are
sense.
smaller, that
Yay.
might
So you want to make the alpha of the clouds an alpha value?
Yeah, just like something like 0.7, just enough to be able to see an enemy that's hiding in it,
Yay.
Okay.
and scale it down just a little bit.
No, let's keep the size the same for now. One thing at a time.
Okay.
We do tweaks. Tweak 1. Don't tweak 10 things because then we're like, let's go to cloud. So you're saying that when we instantiate a new cloud, in the start method of the cloud, we want to set the alpha. This dot alpha is equal to 0.7.
Something like that, yeah.
Sure.
Not sure how the transparency values ever map.
That's not bad, actually. That looks really good.
Yay.
That looks actually really, really good, Pedro. I think it's much better. I think I have to keep that forever now. You've modified the game for me for life. All right. The Mail Pilot game I've been playing forever
Yay.
is something that I'm. Oh,
Yay.
actually, you can see the bullets better too. I think it's just an overall better update,
Yay.
but it makes it easier to play to fire at the plane. Harder game, guys. It's working. All right. That's the bottom line. All right. That's not what I wanted to get done today. That I really wanted to get. No, I'm just being honest. I mean, I really didn't. This is not something that was, thing. What I really wanted to do was talk about some animation techniques. And if you wait for a few minutes, I can get some of this stuff done. Would you wait for me? Do you have like 10? You have to go.
It's soon. We can keep going for now. And also
Okay.
I have a question that I want to ask you.
All right. Let's do this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the show now, right? And then come back with a new video for this. Could be very short to add some simple animations. All right.
Okay.
All right. So we'll stop the video now, and forgive me for this crazy bullet hell, but it's not the right bullet hell. We've created a bullet hell of our own. We'll be back in a bit.